Welcome back from the rest hold. It's time to get into the main event of the evening. We're going to do another edition of Superstar Scores, and this one's going to be Brock Lesnar, because he just made his return recently, and he's fresh in everybody's minds, and we didn't do one before for Brock Lesnar, so perfect timing to do this. And you guys love Superstar Scores, so we like to bring you those as much as we possibly can, and if you have never seen Superstar Scores before, let me give you a quick breakdown here. There are 10 different categories that we rate a superstar on, and we can give them a 0 to a 10 point for each one of those. And each of those categories, they're broken down into sections of 2. We've got ring skills, and inside of that is athleticism and psychology. The mic skills has charisma and character. Then we have the appearance, which is physique and entrance, backstage, professionalism, and marketability. And lastly, it's crowd reaction based off the popularity and credibility. And we just add up our scores at the end and kind of compare them to what we've done in the past. I think right now, out of everybody, the highest that we've ever given anybody to overall has been Shawn Michaels, which makes sense. But we've had some odd cases here. We've had Steve Blackman did pretty well considering. Ultimate Warrior, I think we were all kind of surprised at how high we rated him. Triple H got some really good scores. And if I remember correctly, probably Bob Holly was the lowest on pretty much everybody's, but...
No, I thought Bob Holly was the one that we were really shocked at how high we were ranking him.
I don't remember what I gave him, but I gave him somewhere in, like, the middle range.
I'm pretty sure the lowest would be Santino.
Santino got a 60 from me.
That's low.
All I know is AJ Lee got a 69 from me, and I didn't even mean to work it out that way.
Let's see, AJ for me ended up getting, I'm bringing that up right now, a 75, which is a pretty damn good score. That's better than Roman Reigns. He got a 67, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 67. Still not that bad, though. I mean, when you break it down, the 50 range is average, so if you get 6 or above and that kind of stuff, then, you know, it's still pretty good.
I wasn't on that episode.
Right now, Steve Blackman has a perfect 50. Actually, no. RVD has a lower score than Steve Blackman for me. And they're right around each other.
See, if I was on the RVD one, he'd have significantly higher.
Well, you know, he is RVD.
Definitely higher.
Yeah. I ended up giving Bob Holly a 51, and I gave Steve Blackman a 50, and RVD a 45. Mick Foley did pretty well, but... Shawn Michaels, I think overall, we ended up giving him the highest score and stuff like that, and he was around the 80 to 90 range, I think, for most people. So, let's see where Brock Lesnar gets in here. Let's start at the top. Ring skills, athleticism. That's based off of their signature moves. Can they do a wide variety of moves? Do they botch a lot? I'm giving him a 6, and 6 is going to be a running theme for tonight, because Brock Lesnar is somebody who, he does what he does very well, but he doesn't do a lot. So, yeah, he's an athletic guy, but at the same time, if one of the factors for athleticism is basically, you know, are they going to go around and flip around like crazy, or are they going to do stuff that, like, each match they bring a new move out, that kind of stuff. He's not the, you know, the Rey Mysterio 1998 or something like that, but he does do a good job. He's athletic and stuff like that, so I can't give him anything but a positive score. So... 6 for me on that one. What do you guys say about athleticism?
Yeah, Mike, what do you say about athleticism?
Well, I'm way higher than that. I think Brock Lesnar is a freak of nature. The guy is huge, and not only is he huge, he is insanely nimble and swift for a guy of his size. And that's always been one of his strongest things that helped him when he transitioned over into MMA. The guy is massive, and he moves the size of someone half his size. And he does just amazing feats everywhere. Like, he's lifted people above his head and thrown them around like nothing. I'll never forget the feud he had with Big Show. No, I'm not talking about the one he had a couple years ago. He just beat him up with a chair. I'm talking about the first run of Lesnar when he was just throwing Big Show around like he was Rey Mysterio. It was awesome. And then at the same point, he can go up and do a shooting star press.
Well,
almost.
True, I forgot about that.
So this guy is just impressive on all levels. I give him a 9.
I feel a lot better about my score, because when Tony gave him such a low one, I'm like, oh fuck, am I missing something here? Because I gave him an 8 personally, just for the shooting star press alone. Do you know how, like, difficult it is for a guy of his size? Because the UFC heavyweight division weight limit is like 230 plus. This guy has to cut to make that, and he can do a shooting star press. That's fucking insane. He has actually a wide variety of move skills if you like go back through the huge span of his career.
He limited this run because he's supposed to be the MMA guy, so he just sticks to more brutal stuff. But I mean, you go back, he did like the Brock lock. He did a lot of ground and pound stuff. Like he was all over.
A lot of things that rhyme. The Brock lock and the ground and pound.
He was a ring king.
The boot shoot.
He was a ring king.
A higher score does make sense, though. I totally forgot about that shooting star press.
So yeah, Brock Lesnar overall, the huge span of his career, very athletic guy. He gets an 8 for me.
I gave him a 7, so yeah, I'll rate him 6, 7, 8, and 9. Happy days. I give him a 7 because he missed the shooting star press, and he broke his neck.
Yeah, to be fair, he's hit that move like perfect almost every single time he's done it, and the one time it's on the biggest stage of them all.
Yeah, bad timing, but I mean, like, he still went like 7/8 of the way around like that, which is way more than I could even begin to try. So.
Shit, I doubt I could even stand on the top of that.
I enjoy his belly to bellies. I enjoy his German suplexes. I liked his suplex run with the Big Show in No Way Out. I think it was it No Way Out?
I believe it was in No Way Out, yeah.
Yeah, and his technicality against Kurt Angle when he had that feud, that was really good. When he matched Kurt Angle from move to move. So that's why I gave him a 7. I should have given him a higher score, but I'm happy with my 7. If he nailed the shooting star at WrestleMania, then it would probably be an 8.
So for psychology, what do you guys say about that? I gave him another 6 because he's kind of a little bit one note, but again, he does it well. I mean, he either just kind of destroys you and wins, or you fight back and then something else happens. It's not, the craziest story to tell in the ring, but he does sell. He does know how to play up a crowd, so I actually might have to bump him up a little bit on that too. 6 kind of sounds a little bit low for me, so...
Yeah, I'm a little bit higher, not much. I'm a little bit closer to the other one. I have him at a 7. He's a guy who actually has a lot better storytelling than people give him credit for, and has done a lot of like really unique things in the ring. I mean, he was the first guy we saw go off the top rope and collapse the ring, which was really cool. But one of my favorite matches of all time was his return match against John Cena, where he just busts him open in the first few minutes, and then just the only thing that broke the psychology of that match was the ending, which is another day. We'll go into that. The guy is much better than people give him credit for, so I'll give him a 7. But he's no Ric Flair.
Another day.
I gave him a 7 as well, pretty much for the same reasons. He's very underrated in the ring as far as the psychology side of it, and because these matches are very much one-sided, people don't realize that in itself is a fantastic story. He is, as far as storytelling goes, the elite of the elite.
He's Goliath.
You are meant to get the fuck kicked out of you, and you're not meant to get one move, to be quite honest. You're lucky if you do, and it's a huge feat if you do. If you can knock that guy off his feet, then you're a fucking player, and you deserve all the... like, just being in the ring with Brock Lesnar, it just puts you up above a level. And Brock's fantastic with psychology. He's not a guy that is like Shawn Michaels and can put an epic hours-long match on, but he gets the job done.
I agree with the guys. I've also gave him as a 7.
The guys.
The guys. I gave him a 7 as well. Fuck me, that's put me off my fucking tangent now. But yeah, I gave him a 7. I liked his in-ring stuff with the... I think it was 3 stages of hell with Kurt Angle, or was it an Iron Man match he had with Kurt Angle?
They had an Iron Man match, which was awesome.
That's one of my favorite matches of all time. And I think that was on SmackDown.
It was on SmackDown.
Damn, SmackDown used to be good.
SmackDown 6, man, those were the days.
So Mike Skills is next. Charisma. See, this is the lowest score that I gave him in anything. I gave him a 5, and the main reason why is because although he's not like bad on the mic, because it's mostly a microphone thing when it comes to charisma, he's not like a stuttering, horrible person on the mic kind of a thing. But there's a reason why Paul Heyman's there, and it's to kind of fill in the gaps.
What is your criteria for charisma? So you're saying it is specifically mic skills, or is it the ability to feed to the crowd and make them feel part of what you're doing?
The mic skills, because the feeding to the crowd when it comes to the wrestling stuff is the psychology. So the charisma is more just like, yeah, if you figure like a perfect 10 score would be The Rock. Or,
So we're talking strictly promos then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So charisma, to me, he gets a 5 on that.
In that case, I should have given him higher on psychology then.
Well, it's about like, you know, if somebody's repetitive, do they keep things fresh? Is it something where the guy can only cut one promo and that's it? And, you know...
If I was ranking Brock Lesnar's UFC promo skills, I'd rank him a couple points higher than what I would for his WWE skills. Because as a personality, when he's just being himself, and he's screaming about how he's going to get on his fucking wife and plow her whilst he drinks the opposing sponsor's beer.
Well, he is a farmer. He does plow.
That Brock Lesnar's fucking awesome. But the Brock Lesnar in the WWE... Do you remember that awful segment he did? It was Raw starring Brock Lesnar. Jesus Christ, he was abysmal. There's a reason he has Paul Heyman, and when he's on point, he's a 5. So that's as high as I'm going to give him in the mic department.
See, I would rank him higher. He's a guy who knows his strengths and weaknesses. He's not a guy you go out there and you have cut a 10-minute promo. No, but again, when he's on, I think he's way higher than a 5. I remember that one he did. Was it right after WrestleMania? Like, he came out just all pissed off, grabbed the mic, like Paul Heyman's trying to calm him down. Even Paul Heyman can't calm the beast down. He's going nuts. Yeah, I think that, and that's when he like lost his rage and beat the shit out of Michael Cole. That was fucking badass. And some of it, what I think his biggest strength is when they do those backstage promos with him, where it's just like him talking to a camera. Like, my favorite one is when he was like, "It's gonna be ugly, people." Just the way he like delivered that line was just so genuinely badass.
But at the same time, I'd argue that they cut that fucking promo up into bits. They make him sound a lot better than what he does.
So what? That's the way all promos were done back in the day. You did your local market promos, you cut it up, and you sent it out. That's the way it was done.
Yeah, but it's a lot... having promo skills and being able to cut one in front of a live crowd is hugely important. It's definitely accounted in this.
He's no Jumpin' Jeff.
He's far from a Jumpin' Jeff. I think he can handle himself enough. I think his charisma more lays in his presence. And that's why I'm saying this is like a murky thing to argue about, because I think the guy can say so much more standing there in front of somebody than most guys can in those 10-minute promos. And I think he could ignite the crowd so much more by just standing there than most of these guys can with unlimited amount of time. So I have to give him much higher than that. And even just like his little like kitschy things that have caught on, like that weird scream he did during that match with Triple H and the fucking Suplex City, which is like getting out of hand now. Like I give him an 8.
Wow. Damn.
I say it's a bit overkill, but that's why it's your fucking score and not mine.
Well, if this is overkill, then mine's underkill.
What did you give him?
I give him a 3.
Wow.
Well, it bounces out then.
You know, the one thing...
8 and your 3 bounces out to a 5.
You know, one thing I did forget to mention as far as promo goes, there's one thing he did during a promo which made me fucking laugh. And laugh way harder than I should have. Say something stupid, Paul.
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite line he's ever said.
It's the ass kicker promo that he did, I think it was for SummerSlam, where it was just repetitive, and the way he said ass kicker, it sounded like ass kisser. I was like, I'm not feeling this promo.
It's got a weird accent that comes out every once in a while.
And that's why I gave him the 3.
It's them farmer boys. You know, one of the things that you were talking about, Peyton, was presence, and I think that comes into play a lot for the character section. It's his gimmick, essentially, and one of the factors to kind of pay in here is whether or not they're versatile enough to play both heel and face, or if they have a different variety of gimmicks that they can play. But, you know, even if they only have one gimmick, is it strong enough? Is their character something that gets over? And, you know, I gave him a 7 on that one because I figured he is an ass kicker. It's a little bit bland at times because you can't have some kind of extra personality to it. So I docked points for the fact that, like, you never have another story to tell other than Brock Lesnar's an ass kicker, he's going to kick ass. But that's still fucking good. Like, it's by no means a bad thing, and he doesn't really need anything else. So, positive score for him on that one for me. I'm expecting a much more positive side for everybody else, but, you know.
Yeah, I gave him a 10. As far as I'm concerned, he has his character perfect. He's a fucking UFC fighter. He doesn't need to be some over-the-top goofy asshole like we see with certain characters. All he needs to do is fight. And he's a legitimate fighter. He's got world champions. He plays into that role so well. And you know how he does it? You know how he gets his babyface roll down packed? He starts kicking the shit out of the guys that we don't like. He's perfect. He's got his character absolutely perfect. There's not one thing I'd change about it.
Perfect 10 from Wago. Peyton, what do you think?
Yeah. Do you want me to go? I'll go.
You probably should go.
Unless Peyton's giving him a 0.
I gave him an 8 because he does his job. You know, he goes out there, kicks some ass. That's what he gets paid to do. If he was to go out there and sing a poem, then fuck shit to be him. But you know, this is what I would like Ryback to be. Essentially, you know, is just be an ass kicker. So Brock Lesnar pulls that off really well. Dude's got a rage problem. I got a rage problem.
Funny Ryback?
Oh god, no, nobody likes Ryback.
Ryback's the man.
Ryback's got a disability somewhere in his brain.
Yeah, but you have it in your knee.
Big
guy. Well. What is wrestling?
So, just a segue with this. Is Mike still here? Oh, we didn't hear you. Tony asked you and you just vanished.
Yeah, I was talking.
Oh, we couldn't hear you.
Oh, you weren't listening. Well, for character, I give him a 9. It's not so much for the creativity of the character, which is maybe why I dock it down a little bit from a 10. But in the execution of the character, it's just nailed. 100%. Wago was talking about how much he has this MMA character down. How many people have tried to just be this tough guy fighter type character before that just had no business being it? Like a Mark Marrow or like
anybody Taz talks about.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just some guy who has filled that role so much, and with someone like Paul Heyman by his side, building that character up of this guy who is this special attraction, and you don't want to be in this guy's sights because if you are going to get destroyed. It's just so on point. So I give him a 9.
That brings us on to appearance, physique. How do they look? Perfect 10. Are we all going to give him a perfect 10?
Yep.
No.
Yep, 10. The only
10
thing,
all around.
The only thing,
I give him a 9.
The only thing that takes away from him is that stupid phallus on his chest, but other than
yeah,
that, it's a 10.
Tattoo.
But you know what? Since he's gotten more tattoos, it doesn't stick out as much, so it's not as bad.
Yeah, that is a bad tattoo, but I mean, this guy is a fucking monster.
I'm not going to tell him it's a bad tattoo.
I'll tell him it's a bad tattoo and run my fucking balls off.
And you know what? He would catch you in
He
2
would catch
steps.
me and destroy me in like a flick of his wrist.
He would do that like how Hulk destroyed Loki, where he just like grabs him and flips him back and forth. That's what he would do to you.
Exactly. He wouldn't even need to put like Mjolnir on top of me for me to not be able to get the fuck up.
You see, you're talking about how athletic he is now. You need to give him a few more points in that category.
I bumped him up. I'm adjusting my score here.
Yeah, outside of the phallus, he's pretty on point.
Yeah. Entrance, though, there's a little bit more leeway. I like his theme. I like his pyro. And he looks intimidating as fuck, you know? But it's a little bland. At the same time, though, you know, if he were going to have something really, like, flamboyant, it wouldn't fit him. So I can't
just
give him
a Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, like if he came out with, you know, the fucking Exotic Express or something like that, like, no, that's not Brock Lesnar.
Okay, if he came out and kicked the fuck out of the Exotic Express each week, I'd pay to see that.
Well, first off, if he did that little thing where he jumps off the ropes and they catch him, they wouldn't be able to catch him. It would just, like, crash down on top of them. But I gave him a 7 because I do like the theme, I do like the pyro, I do like how he goes to the ring and stuff. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not, you know, great. I can't give it an 8 or a 9 or something like that when something like The Undertaker is a 10, because that's just not fair. And I like Payton's lyrics a little bit better than just the instrumental one. And he doesn't have those lyrics yet. So, what do you guys think about entrance?
I dropped down a bit.
I gave him a 10.
You give him a 10?
Jesus Christ.
Okay,
I
Sean,
love Brock Lesnar's entrance.
you explain.
I love his music. I love the way that the music is in time with the explosion when he jumps up on top of the fucking apron. I think it's fucking great. I think you guys are all nuts.
Except he doesn't. Wait, he doesn't have the explosion on the apron anymore. He only has the
Very,
ramp, right?
very rarely do they do it. Every once in a while they'll break it out, but most of the time they don't.
Which is annoying because that was the best part of his entrance back when his original run.
They don't even remember to fucking do it when he comes to the ramp sometimes. They'll do it like 3 seconds later. Like, oh yeah, forgot we have pyro here.
And if you notice,
didn't it?
You notice his face when that happens? He looks pissed.
Oh,
I would
be, dude. Well, wasn't there a time when he went over to like grab the freaking pyro guy and he like launched him over? Oh no, that was Mark Henry. Either way, that was awesome.
Imagine like some of the other
Probably
people
did it
doing
backstage.
that. Like, what if they went on a delay for like Finn Balor's entrance? He raises his arms up, nothing happens, and then 3 seconds later it happens. He's just like,
See, here's the thing. Finn could make it work. He actually did his entrance without any music.
With any music, any lights, anything. Like, he just came out to the crowd.
Yeah, the fans fucking ate it up. It was like, oh, his music's not working? Whoa, his music's not working!
Really? What did that happen at? Like,
This was
house
at the NXT show in Albany, which I kind of pissed I didn't go to. So he didn't have his music, and he comes out, and the people are first going, Finn, Finn, Finn! And, like, you know how he runs and then throws his hands up in the air? People did that thing where, like, you know, they're amping up for, like, a kick or something. Yeah, they go,
Yeah,
That's great.
Go out your way to find it because it's actually, and anyone listening, it's a really fun video.
Yeah, but, you know, those NXT crowds, they suck, right, Drew? Fuck you.
So they just did that for like the entire thing, like every time, just
Yeah, all the way to the fucking ring.
That's cool. That shows you that the fans are into it. So Sean gives him, what, you give him a 10?
I give him a 10.
Yeah, now we're talking about this.
I just give him a 10 just for his theme.
We talking about Finn Balor's entrance instead? Because that shit's awesome.
Oh, that shit's off
a
the
much
chart.
higher score.
Yeah,
That's like a 25.
I'd give him a 27.
As Brock Lesnar's goes, though, I give him an 8. It's cool. You know, I like his pyro when they fucking get it right. But, I mean, they've cut back so much on pyro. And to be fair, Brock's not a guy who needs pyro. He's a guy, again, as I say before, exudes so much powerfulness just from his presence. You were saying before he doesn't need the Exotic Express, but you know what just came into mind that would be cool if he came out with, like, a small entourage. Like
oh,
a
you mean like an MMA crowd, and someone can have his banners and kind of drop him over the ropes a bit?
Exactly. He could have like his coach with him, as Paul Heyman, who's his like agent and like his most trusted guy. He could have like, I don't know, just a few people. Not a lot. Don't give him like 10 guys, but just a small circle of like his most trusted confidants that he has. With him.
Just give him a whole bunch of people that squirt the water bottles.
It's not like you have to bring him in every fucking week. It can just be a pay-per-view thing, and it'll work perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm down if Sable is still hot. Then fuck.
I don't think Sable was ever hot, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, trust me, after what Brock's probably done to her, you don't want her. Probably used her as a condom to fuck someone else.
So wait, entrance, huh?
Oh yeah, entrance. I got an 8. I think his music is fucking awesome. The original version of it was a lot better, though. I don't like how they tweaked it. I miss the old pyro, but when they get the current one right, it's awesome. And he's not a guy that needs anything over the top. He's fucking big, he's angry, and his music's fucking big and angry.
What did they tweak with the music?
Go listen to the original one. Do you know that? Because I can't tell you the instrument, because I don't know what the fuck they use in that song. It's just a weird...
Are you talking about like the scratching? Was that not in the original version that you're thinking of?
I'll have to listen back to it to explain.
They sound identical to me. I don't know anything. I think they might have like remastered it so it's a little cleaner, but I don't know of them changing like anything instrumentally or the structure of it.
I want to say the drums, but I don't know what it is they play during his entire theme. I don't know what fucking instrument or if it's just a sound effect, but there's something different and it irks me.
Maybe it's that kind of like...
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that was always there. That like Rage Against the Machine, Beastie Boys scratching sound. Yeah, I thought that was always there.
Like, I just always imagine him coming to the ring with the Benny Hill theme instead.
Oh, dude, you know what though? If he
That
came
would be
down,
kind of funny.
if he came down with that, who's gonna tell him he's an asshole for having it though?
Imagine it's like, the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar.
Did you see those people who did those WWE 2K15 videos where they put Brock Lesnar into like the Funkadactyls entrance?
No,
and he comes
that
out with
sounds
like
amazing.
pom poms and like shaking his butt and stuff.
Yeah, at least it isn't as bad as fucking Roman Reigns. I am a wank pheasant.
Like pheasant.
Comes out with pom poms, dancing around like a jackass, and his tank top's got "I'm a wank pheasant" on it. I don't know what made somebody create that.
Why not?
It's probably
You know
Sean.
You know what, bro? You know what Roman Reigns reminds me of? A wank pheasant.
Oh, what the
What is a wank pheasant?
I'm not particularly sure.
Roman Reigns.
I think I'm gonna have to open dictionary. This, hang on. Moving on.
If it says something like a pheasant of the wank variety or something.
Okay, the first thing I type wank pheasant into Google. The first two things are Roman Reigns related. No, the first three things. Oh, okay. Apparently, this all started because there was a sign in the crowd one night saying Roman is a wank pheasant.
Yeah, I just see the sign now, yeah.
Well, that still doesn't clarify. Who is that person? Like, why a wank pheasant? Why is he a wank pheasant? Tell us in the comments below. What's our next thing here? We've got backstage. This one, I'll admit, I might have to switch mine around. I really wasn't too sure what to give him, so I'm going to kind of base them what you guys say, too, because you guys were watching at different points. But
is this professionalism?
Yeah, professionalism and marketability. They kind of go hand in hand a little bit, but essentially they break down to locker room stuff. Are they somebody who puts people over, or do they politic? For the marketability side of things, it's more so, are they a public relations problem? Like, do they get arrested? Are they somebody who does a lot of charity work? Are they somebody who goes to the talk shows? Like, a John Cena would be a 10 on a marketability, and somebody, I can't even think of like it necessarily the worst case, but like a Marty Jannetty would have been a terrible marketability guy, for instance. And for professionalism, you got to think like a 10 would be like an Undertaker, and a number 1 or whatever would, I don't know, maybe even be like a CM Punk or something. Like somebody who just bitches and complains and causes problems and stuff. I don't know too much about Brock on a lot of these things, so I gave him a pretty standard 7 and a 6 because I figured if I don't know any bad things, I can't give him, a bad score. But if I don't really know any positive things, I can't shoot him up too high. So
here's my issue. So when deciding this, remember how I told you about the whole getting on the microphone and trashing the UFC sponsors and telling everyone he's going to ride his fucking wife while drinking the opposing beer?
Yeah, not very professional.
I was going to say, is that professionalism or marketability? I put it in professionalism.
I'd probably put it in their professionalism.
All right, so we got a 4 for professionalism from me then.
But I mean, marketability, like the guy is popular, but that comes more into the crowd reaction popularity side. Like he's somebody who, you can say he's marketable in the sense that if you put him on SportsCenter, people would pay attention to it. And at the same time, he's not doing Make-A-Wishes and stuff. If that's a perfect 10 is involving that, I'm not going to see Brock Lesnar show up at E3. But he's not, like, beating people up and causing PR nightmares.
You might see a cardboard cutout of him at E3.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But do you guys know anything on this side of things that sways one way or the other?
Well, for professionalism, I'm going to be a little bit higher. I have him at a 6. My main reason for that is that Brock Lesnar has never been a guy that's been ego-driven. We were talking about that a lot before with Dolph Ziggler. Brock Lesnar, while he's a really big guy, has been like one of the last people to worry about protecting himself in a match. He has never had a problem putting someone over. He's the person who volunteered to put over Daniel Bryan. He had no cares about that whatsoever. I was just reading reports this day that people are talking about how Brock Lesnar begged to not beat The Undertaker and end the streak. Like, this is a guy who is very, very selfless in what he does out there. He wants to be the best. Mm-hmm. I mean, he wants to go out there and kick lots of ass and make an awesome performance. And, in wrestling, he realizes that it doesn't really matter. He just wants to go out there and sell tickets and be awesome. In MMA, it was a different story. He wanted to win, and He did for a while. But in wrestling, he was a guy who got it, and he worked his butt off when he was called upon. Just he wanted a lighter schedule, and I think the fact that this guy has been willing to work with that and find a way to make it work so everybody's making some money. Keep in mind, this guy coming in there, yeah, he's getting paid, but everybody is doing better with Brock Lesnar around. That's a guy who brings more legitimacy to the WWE as an entertainment company. When you see Brock Lesnar, well, I'll talk more about that in marketability. When you see Brock Lesnar on a poster, it's great. So for him to come in and still lend his time and ability to that craft, awesome.
I think I'm going to bump my professionalism up to a 5. Payton kind of swayed me on that.
Plus, I mean, he comes back after spending years away, loses his first match.
He did, which was a mistake, but
very big one.
I think it was one of those, checks on him, seeing if he's going to be cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, though? I think that him beating The Undertaker was a necessity after that.
It was. If he had beaten John Cena, it would not have been. But you're right. That really set those wheels in motion for him to redeem himself. He had to destroy.
Because how do you redeem yourself after that? You don't. There's only one thing which no one else could do, and that was it.
Didn't he lose to Triple H as well?
I think the loss to Triple H hurt him.
Hurt him more. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd say John Cena did, because one, he beat the piss out of Cena, and Cena wins out of nowhere. Well, don't get me wrong, Cena's done that a million times, but that was different. And the fact is, there was so much buzz behind him, and they just fucking stuck a knife in it straight away.
His career would have been so different if he came in and just bloodied John Cena and left him there in a big pool in the middle of the ring. And that whole thing was just a big mess. John Cena winning and then giving that speech in the ring afterwards, that just killed so much.
I never understood it. If he was injured, maybe that would have made sense, but still I wouldn't have liked it.
Anyway, not getting to that. I gave him a 6.
Yeah. 5 from me.
What did you give him, Sean?
I'm going to give him a 5 for professionalism and a 5 for marketability, because I really need a piss and I can't be bothered to explain. So I'm going to be back after I have had pee.
All right.
Happy days.
Wait, you did marketability already?
No, I didn't drop what I thought about marketability, and I'm going to give him a 7 on this, because as much as he isn't the guy that you can march out there, mainly for financial reasons, because you don't have him whipped like all the other guys, you can't just throw him on any show that you want. When he is on a show, he's a huge draw to it. Do you remember when he announced if he was going to side with WWE or UFC? Everybody tuned into that. Everyone was like, oh shit, is he coming back to fight, or is he going to WWE? It was a huge buzz about it.
Well, keep in mind, marketability isn't just popularity, because popularity's under the crowd reaction. Marketability.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they trotted him out onto ESPN for that, and fucking everyone went for it. You can put him on any of these other shows, and I guess it kind of is in between what I'm saying, but he's a guy that you can put on different platforms, and he does very well.
Makes sense.
Yeah, see, for me, I took it to the next level with that. I think that stuff like the Make-A-Wish and the going to conventions and stuff, that's nice, but I don't think that's the only way that you could be very marketable. And Brock Lesnar is a guy that I think is the ultimate high in marketability for anything. I mean, you could do anything with this guy at this point. You put the name Brock Lesnar on there, and you're guaranteed to get your profits back. And that's in WWE pay-per-view, MMA pay-per-view. If this guy wanted to do movies, if this guy wanted to, I don't know, sell OxyClean, this guy could probably take care of that.
Well, Paul Heyman would sell it.
The guy, based on his name, based on his look, based on his record, everything about him is something that you could use to your advantage. And that's big in marketing. I mean, as someone who has to do a lot of marketing between the podcast and my day job, I could look at the importance of having someone like Brock Lesnar. I mean, this is why Vince has started these part-time deals. I was saying it before, having guys like Brock Lesnar and The Rock, it means a lot having them around. Even if it is on these limited schedules, it makes it so much more important. Or this company looks so much more important in the eyes of the general public.
And I'm back.
Cool. You can tell us about your marketability.
I've increased his marketability just for what Peyton has said, but I've lowered his appearance down because he hasn't got the epic beard that he had in UFC.
Trust me, that thing grew out to a certain point and it was ugly as shit after a while.
Yeah, I didn't really like it.
It's like a bunch of dead hamsters that fallen asleep on his face.
And I'm a beard guy, and I didn't really like that beard.
Our last two are crowd reaction, popularity, and credibility. Popularity, the loud cheers or the boos, depending on if they're heel or face. Merchandise sales, Twitter followers, ratings, that kind of stuff. Credibility is on the side of, how do they look kayfabe? Are they somebody who is a bona fide main eventer, or are they somebody who's a total jobber? I'm giving him high scores on those, a 9 and a 10. The only reason I don't give him a 10 on the popularity is because I think overall there are people that hit a 10 more than he does. But credibility, I mean, shit. Who the hell is ever going to argue Brock Lesnar winning a fucking match?
Mm-hmm.
From a kayfabe standpoint, Brock Lesnar is the greatest wrestler of all time.
You're not completely wrong.
Yeah, there's a legitimate discussion where they're
like if you're talking strictly kayfabe, he is the greatest wrestler of all time. He beat The Undertaker. Nobody's ever done that. He's a multiple-time WWE champion.
A dominant champion.
He beat the piss out of John Cena in a one-sided fight, laughed at his attempts for him to come back at him, and threw Roman Reigns around while saying Suplex City bitch. He is the elite of the elite from a credibility standpoint. No, there's no argument for it in my mind. 10 easily.
And the way that he just came into WWE in general. I mean, shit. In 1 year, he did more than tons of people do combined in their entire career.
And the best part of it is, for the part of his career that he did lose, they even have a storyline built in for that. Yeah, that was Brock with diverticulitis. This is Brock without diverticulitis. And that's Jerry Lawler with diverticulitis.
Which isn't, false either.
Yeah, there's a legitimate claim that if he didn't have that in the UFC, you might be looking at the current heavyweight champion right now. So, as popularity goes, I don't think there's a single professional wrestler that could jump to UFC and do over 1 million buy rates. And for a while, Brock Lesnar was the first guy to do that since Mike Tyson. So, as far as I'm concerned, 10 for popularity.
Yes, he did do that. But then you also got to look that there's someone who left WWE and was breaking box office records.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
what I mean.
way more than UFC pay-per-views. So I give him a 9, which is very high, but I think there is just still a level a little bit above him. Maybe I would even go a 9.5, but he's up there, just not quite the elite. Credibility, though, holy fucking shit! I could tell any one of my friends Brock Lesnar's on the show tonight, and they're like, "Oh, word." And they're gonna want to tune in to see what's going on.
Then did they say it's totally rad?
Maybe.
That's going to be mad good.
Rad.
Brock Lesnar is just the shit. That's all you can say. Brock Lesnar is the fucking shit. Every time he's around, I'm in. I cannot wait to see what he's going to do. Total 10 on the credibility.
Damn it, I give him a 10 on credibility. He won King of the Ring in his first year. He broke Hardcore Holly's neck, so that was a good thing.
The guy's done everything. He's done King of the Ring, Royal Rumble.
Broke Hardcore Holly's neck.
The only thing that he hasn't done yet is Money in the Bank, and it wasn't around.
You know what? He's still fucking people up.
He's never held United States Championship. He's never held the Intercontinental Championship because he didn't need to.
He superseded that shit.
Yeah, Undertaker never won either of them either.
Yeah, I think that really solidifies his credibility is there wasn't that long ago where I was building a case to have Brock Lesnar be a 3-year champion. And people would have said that is impossible to do in this day and age. But if there's anybody that you could have done it with, not even John Cena, certainly not Randy Orton or Roman Reigns, you could have done it with Brock Lesnar, though.
Definitely not Daniel Bryan, the way that he keeps getting injured.
And honestly, I'm a little disappointed they didn't. I mean, I like what they're doing with Seth Rollins and all, but I would have been perfectly okay with 3 years of Brock Lesnar.
If he would have wrestled.
The schedule he was wrestling was fine.
Yep, I think anything more would have devalued him. They booked him perfectly as far as I'm concerned. Brock Lesnar is in my opinion, one of their best creations they've ever done. And one of their well-booked people they've ever done. They've made mistakes with him, but they fixed them.
So when you tally up all your scores, what do you guys get? I get a 75 out of 100.
With my adjustments, as we've gone on and people have convinced me otherwise on certain topics, I am at an even 80.
I probably have the highest one here. I have 86.
75.
Yeah.
So good scores. He beats a wide variety of people. I think he ties with Triple H for me, if I'm remembering correctly. But of course, you know, some people are better at some things, some people are worse. That's how it goes. But tell us what you guys would rank him on a 1 to 100 scale. Is he higher than what we gave him? Is he lower? Do you think that we're kind of like not giving him as much credit as we should? Or holy shit, you guys are, you know, kissing his ass and he shouldn't deserve it and all that kind of stuff? Tell us what your superstar score is for Brock Lesnar and where he ranks compared to everybody else, too, if you guys been doing the other ones. But that's it for our main event. We've got one more thing to talk about for this episode. We got Fantasy League coming up in the next part, so stay tuned and click on that next video. We will be right back.